Hey, what's up? This is Hans with Requests for Music, and today I want to be doing something different. Since Synclavier uses the same kind of technique, the FM modulation, as DX7 does, I think it would be interesting to see how you can convert sort of sounds from DX7 to Synclavier. And I found this web DX7. I do have a DX7 myself, but not everybody does. So it might be nice to have a look at this. And this is a web-based synthesizer that you can use from your keyboard. So everything works normally, and this is an electric piano at this point, and you can see that you can change your input and so on. And at least you have the option to look at all of the settings, and you see these values for the operators, because that's the way how it works in DX7. You have a couple of operators which are actually the carriers or even the modulators, as compared to Synclavier. And the way that they are connected are done by an algorithm, and I'll show you how that looks. These are the algorithms for DX7, and in this case you saw the number 5 being set there with the algorithm. So 5 is this way of handling things. So the below ones, the 1, the 3, and the 5 are the carriers, and the top ones, the 2, 4, 6 are the modulators, where the number 6 has a feedback loop on itself. All of the carriers normally are sine waves, so that's the most standard kind of thing that you would have. And the 6 being a feedback loop, well, you could sort of compare that in like using a sawtooth for the modulator in the Synclavier. So at least this is the way how we would handle stuff. So 1 and 2, let's say that we would use one partial for 1 and 2, because then we have the carrier and the modulator, and the second partial for these, and the third partial for this. So then if we take Synclavier, and I'll change this to the side. Actually, what I can do is just press the button now, press a key. And so this is the sound of my DX7 at the moment, because I even have my volume closed for my Synclavier, so I don't have anything. I'll put that up. So you hear a slight delay, because the one is web-based and the other one is obviously live. So there's a slight delay, but still I can go and try to figure out how it works. You see these values, the number 1, which will be my carrier. So I'll go into my screen and have a look at stuff in my time slices. So this is actually my carrier, which is at 1, and the other one is at 14, and that's the ratio, so to speak. So I could actually just go into my ratio, so go into my mixer and turn up my ratio to 14 for this FM modulation. And oops, you probably don't see that, but at the bottom there's the ratio values, so now you do. So now it's at 14, and still I only have my normal value for the carrier, because there's no modulation on. So I need some modulation, and you need to go very slightly on the modulation, because it works very harsh, very suddenly. So I'll have to look at that, and further on I have to look at the envelopes and the scaling. And so I've got these values here for rate 1, rate 2, rate 3, rate 4, and level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4, which compared to the envelopes like the attack, decay, sustain, release values. The only thing is that they have a value from 0 to 99, where 99, the highest value, is very fast, and the lower the values goes, the longer it takes. So I see here that the R2 value for my number 2 decay is about halfway, and I can probably find the exact value, so it's really at 50. So what I would have to do is take my envelope value for my modulator, and lower values for the sustain, and take a higher decay value. So then you'll hear that the the sound has this metallic part in the beginning. So I'll try to do that, and I'll switch these off if I can. At least I'll level down some stuff. I'll level all of the carriers off. So the only thing I hear now is my actually my Synclavier, and I already have this metallic kind of stuff in there. And obviously this will probably have to be a bit lower, and it needs velocity, or it needs some attack. And if I look at this, there is a lot velocity sensitivity in here. So the number 2 has the highest velocity, and the lower one has less. So the carrier has less velocity sensitivity than the modulator has. The only problem is that we don't really have the option of doing that in here. So still, I could go into my mods. Well, I do have sort of the option. I could use the velocity to volume for my partial itself to be able to sort of how do we say that? Well, at least I could make it more active handling the velocity. So I have to lower my volume, and then it will still work on the stuff like this. Yeah, on the volume of the actual carrier. And apart from that, I've got all of the other options. Here's module, and you can have your target and your your source and your target here. And so I could use one of those empty ones to change this to velocity, and then use my harmonic amplitude actually to change that. Because if I change the peak value, for instance, for my harmonic, that will make sure that I can really change the velocity for that part. So if I lower my let's see, in my envelope, if I lower my peak value, it should be possible to raise this end. And even now already we do have some sort of that electropiano DX7 sort of feel. The only thing is that I need to beware and make sure that it has the same sort of decay time as the original here. So if I dial up my level for the operator 1, I can hear that it fades out. So if I first mute this one, you can hear that it fades out, even if I press the key for the Web DX7. So actually, I need the same kind of thing. And actually, you could just have a look at my envelope and see how that works, because obviously that means that there is no sustain in the end, and that the actual length is being taken care of by the decay. So if I dial up my decay, I can watch how this dot goes. Well, this is actually not bad. The thing that I did, just slid it over to 4.8, and it's not so bad. It really takes care of that same sort of time, because the point actually shows how long it takes for it to go really down. So this is not too bad. I'll dial down the level of my operator again, unmute my partial in my Synclavier, and I would have the same sort of tone there. Okay, so that's number 1. And actually the other ones are, well, about the same. They have a bit more higher volume probably on the modulators. So actually what I could do is just copy this one over. And because the length is probably about the same, there's a slight difference I see, but it's not too much. So if I just want to make a very rough sort of copy, I could just go in here and just copy this one over. So copy, paste it over to number 2, paste it over to number 3, and the only difference, of course, is that I changed the ratio, whereas these are all at 1, so I need to put my ratio back. So if I go back into my normal screen, go back into my mixer and change those, and I can just double click on the values and they'll be back. So now I've got all of those settings there, and I could actually just to see if how it sounds, I would just detune all of them a bit. And maybe do something with chords. If I just wanted this as a basis just to see as a basis and see where it would lead me, I would just dial these up. Maybe change the fine tuning for some of the FM ratios as well. And actually, the only other thing I would need is some kind of effect on there. So if I would just put some reverb in there and lower the value, lengthen decay time. For this change, maybe I wanted some sort of Whitney Houston kind of sound, so I'd probably dial in some chorus there, change the ratio, and change the rate. And maybe even dial in some delay, so some delay in there. And then I'd have something like this. And the only thing actually I forgot was to have a look at the mod settings, because if I copy partials over, most of the time the velocity settings or the mod settings don't come along, so I could just dial those up to the same level that I have the other ones. So something like that. So that's a very quick and easy way to do that. Next time I'll have a look at some of the other sounds in the DX7. But for this, that's an electric piano to start off with. Hope you enjoyed this one, and hopefully see you on the next one. Cheers, bye bye.